Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. How are you? I hope you find you well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Not just now, but all the previous episodes that have come your way. I always enjoy hearing from you and your thoughts on them. Now, I know I only released an episode very recently. That was the one where I spoke with Jordan Halston about his time in Germany for the Euros. That can still be found at your podcast provider of choice or threelionspodcast.com. I think you'll enjoy it if you haven't heard it already. But I felt I needed to cover this latest news.
Huge breaking news right now here on Sky Sports News. You can see it there at the bottom of your screen, and it is England have announced that Lee Carsley has been appointed interim head coach of the men's national team ahead of the start of their Nations League campaign. There'd been so much speculation, hadn't there, of who would replace Gareth Southgate after he resigned from his position after England lost in the final of Euro 2024 to Spain. And, of course, who would be the permanent successor. But right now, what England have decided to do is put in charge an interim head coach, and that is Lee Carsley, who's been involved with the England under-21. So that has been confirmed by England themselves on Twitter. Lee Carsley has been appointed interim head coach of the Three Lions ahead of the start of their Nations League campaign.
Friday, the 9th of August. And we have a new England manager. Or head coach. The 20th man in the top job. Although in this case, the 6th in the caretaker interim capacity. Congratulations go to Lee Carsley, who steps up from the under-21s to replace Gareth Southgate. We'll hear from a few listeners of what they think of the appointment very soon.
You'll be aware there is a faction here who object to having a non-English coach. How are you going to win these people over?
Yes, I heard that. I saw it in the newspapers and I heard a lot about it. I can't do anything about it. I'm a Swede, that's it. The only thing we must hope is that we're going to play good football and do good results. If we don't do results, of course, they will try to hang me, but even if I was an Englishman, they hang me. So let's...
This is one of the saddest days of my career. 18 months ago was the proudest day of my career, and I was honoured to be the England head coach. And for 18 months I've enjoyed every minute. And it is a sad day today to be relieved of my post. But I can understand the decision by the FA. And I've still this morning got huge disappointment for the people who are really losing out, and that's the country, the nation, the fans. And so it's with regret that unfortunately we didn't qualify and we come to this situation.
I'm very proud and honoured to be the England manager. I have wanted this job for a long time. But in this moment my English is not so well. And I prefer the answer in either.
I'm very pleased to announce that Stuart Pearce will manage the England team for the Holland match. He has huge experience outside and inside this organisation. And of course, he manages the England under-21 team and has been working with Fabio for some time. He knows the players very well.
I am delighted to formally introduce Roy Hodgson as the new England manager. Thank you. Today concludes a process that began the day after Fabio Capello's resignation.
I suppose it's a very proud day for me. I'm a very happy man to have been offered the chance of managing my country. I'm looking forward enormously to the task ahead. Everyone knows it's not an easy one. I'm grateful for the chance to be the manager of England, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Get that smile. I can't imagine why we can't get that smile. Excuse me, I can't stop smiling because I've got this job. This is a job I've waited for many, many years, and I'm absolutely delighted that I now sit in this privileged position of being the English national team manager. It's going to be a great thrill for me to take the team forward from the nation's point of view and hopefully make everybody so proud of the England team again.
Good morning. Welcome to St George's Park. Before we kick off with questions, Gareth would like to say just a few words.
Yes, just really to say I realise the last week has been a very difficult one for certainly for our organisation. I felt it was important to step forward in a leadership position at this moment in time, and very much looking forward to the challenge of working with the players over the next 10 days to get the results that everybody in the country wants.
So the England manager's job is one that dates back to 1946 when Walter Winterbottom first took the position. Since then, it's been occupied by men with varying degrees of success. A position occupied twice by non-Englishmen. And in all that time, just the one major trophy, won by Sir Alf Ramsey. The position is massive. Huge pressure from fans, huge interrogation by the media, speculation at times from players. A position that will never satisfy everyone. His previous employment will always be a sticking point for some that they just can't look beyond. As an interim coach, he follows in the footsteps of Joe Mercer, who was the first, taking 7 games between the reign of Alf Ramsey and Don Revie in 1974. Mercer won 3, drew 3 and lost just the once. The next was Howard Wilkinson, who came in between Glenn Hoddle and Kevin Keegan. He lost his game against France. He then took over once again, following Keegan's resignation in 2000. Drew that one against Finland in a 2002 World Cup qualifier. Peter Taylor then took the next game against Italy, famously making David Beckham captain. He was to lose that though, away to Italy in Turin. Then, when Fabio Capello resigned in 2011, Stuart Pearce took over for a game as caretaker. He lost to the Netherlands at Wembley in a friendly. Then, of course, the most recent was Gareth Southgate, who was given 4 games following Sam Allardyce's sacking. He beat Malta and Scotland and draw with Slovenia and Spain. Now, I mentioned Peter Taylor. If you want to know what it's like to be an interim coach, why not check out episode 39 when I spoke with him about it. It's called Tailored for England. Now, of course, this position came about on the 16th of July when Gareth Southgate resigned from the job 2 days after the 2024 Euros final, after 8 years in the position. Immediately, and unsurprisingly, the bookmakers released those lists of odds and names of potential successors. So, as per the 17th of July, Sky Bet, these were the odds. Eddie Howe, 2-1. Graham Potter, 5-2. Lee Carsley, 10-3. Frank Lampard was 8-1, as was Jurgen Klopp. Pochettino, 12-1. Then there were 3 on 20-1, Pep Guardiola, Thomas Tuchel and Michael Carrick. A few on 40-1, Gary O'Neill, Roberto Martinez and Sean Dyche, and Steven Gerrard. Then was 3 of them 50-1, Brendan Rodgers, Kieran McKenna, Steve Cooper, and then 66-1, Ange Postecoglou. The FA, well, they did put the job spec out with a closing date of Friday, the 2nd of August. This is what the England senior team head coach job spec was. We are currently overseeing a highly targeted process to appoint the next head coach of the England men's senior team. Our succession planning process has already identified a number of candidates. In addition to this, we are committed to open recruitment processes in the football industry and are interested in hearing from individuals who meet the following criteria. So lead and develop the England senior men's team to win a major tournament and be consistently ranked as one of the top teams in the world. Provide inspiring leadership to a world-class, multidisciplinary technical team based at St George's Park. And develop and maintain strong relationships with clubs who employ English qualified players. Successful candidate will hold a UEFA Pro licence, will have significant experience of English football, will be an exceptional leader who understands and will enjoy the international football environment, will be highly resilient and comfortable in a very high profile role with intense public scrutiny, will have a track record of creating a high performing, positive team culture and environment. The England values are aim high, achieve together, embrace difference. As time went by, various candidates in the supposed frame distanced themselves from it. On the 18th of July, Tottenham's Ange Postecoglou said he is fully focused on bringing success to Tottenham rather than considering a return to international management. Of course, he having previously been manager of Australia. On the 30th of July, Eddie Howe said, "I have had no contact whatsoever from anybody regarding the England job. I am fully committed to Newcastle United. There is nothing to talk about. I do not need to address the players." 31st of July, Jurgen Klopp ruled himself out. He said at an international coaches course, when he was asked about the position, having of course only just left Liverpool, saying he needed a break, he replied with, "That would be the biggest loss of face in the history of football if I said, I'll make an exception for you." I think he's earned a bit more respect from me for being straight like that. I've always thought Klopp was a decent guy, but yeah, to actually be straight up like that, yeah, fair play to him. So with the Nations League games against Ireland and Finland looming, it was kind of surprising that in an era of internet leaks, none really appeared. Especially considering throughout the Euros, various journalists were climbing over each other to leak the lineups, weren't they? That was until the 7th of July, when the Telegraph's Mike McGrath wrote a piece that many suspected that Lee Carsley was in pole position to take over as interim manager for the immediate future. So who is Lee Carsley? Many England fans will probably already know of him, but for those who maybe not take so much notice or interest, Lee Carsley is the current under-21s manager, or he was. He was born in Birmingham in February 1974. It makes him 50 years old. He was a defensive midfielder who began his career at Derby County back in 1994. Spent a few years there until 1999 when he joined Blackburn Rovers for a season. Then headed to Coventry for a couple of years. However, it was 2000 when he found a stable place to call home. Everton. He spent 6 years there, forming a partnership in the middle with Thomas Gravesen, a Dane, who in 2005 moved to Real Madrid. Thing with Carsley and Gravesen, they're both bald, both had a similar build and physique, both played for Everton, and there was this rumour that Madrid had bought the wrong player. Carsley claims that this was just an urban myth, though. 2008, he moved to Birmingham City, his hometown, for a couple of years, before returning to Coventry as captain, and that's where he ended his playing career in 2011. But what of his international career? Well, as I mentioned in episode 315, it was the recent dual nationality episode. He actually represented the Republic of Ireland. And he'd done that through his grandmother, who came from County Cork. And as far back as 1996, he played for the Irish under-21s, their B team too. But in 1997, he made his debut for the Irish senior team in a World Cup qualifier against Romania. He would go on to make 40 appearances for the boys in green in an international career that lasted until 2008. He even played in the 2002 World Cup. It's got that nice little story about it, hasn't it? That having played for the Republic of Ireland, his first game in charge of the England senior team will be against Ireland back in Dublin. But whilst at Everton, he'd already worked on his coaching badges, and then, after hanging up his playing boots at Coventry, he moved into coaching. He took on their under-18s. 2013, he had a period of time in the dugout at Sheffield United as assistant manager technical to David Weir, someone he knew from his time at Everton. Unfortunately, it didn't really go too well. It didn't last too long as they were sacked after a disastrous start to the season. But it didn't seem to harm his stock though, as in 2015 he began coaching the England under-19 side with Adi Boothroyd. And it was from here until 2021 where he laid his foundations out at the FA, being involved with various age groups in various roles, such as out-of-possession coach, or professional development lead, or the under-21 part-time specialist national coach. I don't know. I'm sure they mean all of those, something to someone at the FA. But it was also at this time that he had a period of time at Manchester City's academy. So he was putting in the hard graft. That all in a coaching capacity. As a manager, he had various caretaker roles. He had a period of time at Coventry, Brentford and Birmingham up until 2018. But it was September 2020 when he was announced as manager of the England under-20 side. He was in charge there for a year before being promoted to the under-21s in July 2021. And it was here that he took the side to one of their biggest achievements. He won the 2023 under-21s Euros in Georgia and Romania. It was the side's first trophy since 1984. This with a team including the likes of James Trafford, Emil Smith-Rowe, Jared Branthwaite, Harvey Elliott, Anthony Gordon and Cole Palmer. Playing attractive football throughout the tournament, not conceding a goal and beating Spain by 1-0 in the final. Clearly, this didn't go unnoticed. My own point of view, I think is a sensible choice given the candidates that are available. Is experienced within the international setup, worked closely with Gareth, knows the FA's ways, their DNA. And this was really what the FA have wanted since the opening of St George's Park, a continuation of people who know the systems. And plus, he's taking on a team that doesn't really need much surgery. I think, as I've previously said, hopefully, without sounding too arrogant, this Nations League group shouldn't be too much trouble. I'd like to think we'll qualify from it, dare I say it, unbeaten, or at least with 16 points. Then you look towards the World Cup qualifiers, where we'll be second seed, sure, and we could draw a France or a Spain, but with 12 groups of 4 or 5 teams, we'd be really unfortunate to draw either of those two, or Germany as well. But if that happens, then there's always the playoff path, should it not go to plan. But you'd hope that the team and manager, they can handle that. Of course, I'm saying this aware that he's only been put in charge for the upcoming 2 games at the moment. So it's a case of wait and see. But initially, I think it's a sensible appointment, and I wish him the very best of luck. Also worth pointing out is that he brings with him, by all accounts, his assistant from the under-21s, Ashley Cole. Yes, the same Ashley Cole, who won 107 caps for England and is arguably one of our country's finest left-backs. Could do with one of them at the moment, couldn't we? Playing for Arsenal and Chelsea between 1999 and 2014, winning pretty much every domestic trophy available to him. Also joining him, teaming up with him, will be Michael Johnson and Joleon Lescott. So there we have it. A new England manager for now. Wasn't a long drawn-out saga, as we've seen in the past, thankfully. Let's hope that Lee Carsley can be left to get on with the job in hand. Before I leave you, let's hear from a few listeners on what they think of the news.
Martel from Bristol. I'm happy with this appointment. In fact, Lee Carsley would be my first choice England manager. He's already led England to a trophy with the under-21s teams, including not conceding a single goal and playing good football. I certainly think he's the best English option out there. I don't think Graham Potter's done enough. So let's see how he does. He might need a tougher test to really solidify himself as England manager, but we'll get an idea about him in the next few months.
This is Dean Cornish, followed England home and away for the last 20 years, and the appointment of Lee Carsley, I wouldn't say I'm massively excited by it. It's a shame really that the home of football and one of the biggest football nations can't manage to develop a list of 5 or 6 exciting, big, well-known, successful managers like we might have been able to do 30 or 40 years ago. But there is some positives. Obviously there's continuity. He knows a lot of the players from the under-21s. He's won a trophy with the under-21s and they did well last year. Also playing quite attacking football as well, which I think as fans we're keen to see a bit more of after the Southgate years. Yes, of course, Gareth did a great job. I'm not knocking that, but you know, at times we weren't enamoured with the football. So I think it's a positive move. He's got a couple of games to prove himself. Hopefully he'll do a good job, and then if he gets the job permanently, great. I'd much rather him have it than a Guardiola or a Klopp come in, which to me is a bit of a cheat to just sort of grab one of the most successful international managers. The England manager should be English for a big nation like ours, and if Lee Carsley gets it, happy days.
Hello Russell, Lee from Hastings. I think what a great good appointment. My only concern is that it's on a sort of maybe a temporary basis, but I would have gone straight in and given him the job from the start. But I think that's what they did with Gareth, wasn't it? So hopefully that'll work out. If I could have chosen, I would have stuck with Gareth and I would have sort of begged him to stay. But let's hope this works out, and I really, really feel confident for the future. Yeah, thanks very much. Speak soon. Cheers, bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe you agree with the appointment. Maybe you don't. Feel free to let me know over on social media. Just search 3 Lions Podcast and give me a follow. Also, don't forget you can contribute to the show's running over at ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/3 Lions Podcast. Any donations are gratefully received and all go towards the monthly hosting of the podcast. So thank you very much. I will be back with you very soon. I'll be talking to both an Irish and Finnish correspondent for the upcoming Nations League preview episode. I hope you can join me for that. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.